Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India NewsHour, India's voice to the world. I'm Bharat. Coming up in the next hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi completes 12 years in office, transforming India into an aspirational nation driven by opportunity, innovation and self-belief. India reiterates its support to Afghanistan in key areas, criticizes Pakistan for trade and transit terrorism and civilian killings in Afghanistan at UN Security Council. Iran and Israel agree to pause strikes but warn of retaliation if ceasefire breached again. US President and UN urge both sides to refrain from any action. US judge rejects Trump's $100,000 fee on H-1B visas for highly skilled foreign workers, terms it as unlawful tax. And OpenAI joins AI listing queue with rival Anthropic, confidentially files for initial public offering on US stock market. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's historic third consecutive term stands as a shining testament to his resolute drive towards building a Viksit Bharat by 2047. Marked by bold economic reforms, massive infrastructure push, landmark governance initiatives and strong national security actions like Operation Sindoor, the government continues to deliver decisive governance focused on development, self-reliance and citizen welfare. More in this special report.
On the 9th of June in 2024, Narendra Modi took oath as Prime Minister of India for a historic third consecutive term, becoming only the second leader after Jawaharlal Nehru to achieve this feat. Administered by President Draupadi Murmu at Rashtrapati Bhavan, the ceremony marked the continuation of a journey rooted in dedication to national service. Born into a humble family in Vadnagar, Gujarat, Narendra Modi rose through grassroots politics with an unwavering commitment to development, good governance and cultural pride. From his early days as a Swayamsevak in the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh to Chief Minister of Gujarat and now leading the nation for over a decade, Prime Minister Modi has embodied the spirit of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas. In his third term, he continues to drive India towards Viksit Bharat by 2047 with bold, decisive actions. Since taking oath, the government has delivered on multiple fronts. The union budget announced major initiatives for employment generation, youth skilling, internship opportunities, and increasing workforce participation. Significant allocations were made for highways, railways, ports, industrial corridors, and logistics infrastructure, with special emphasis on infrastructure-led economic growth. In the semiconductor and electronics sector, the government accelerated efforts under the India Semiconductor Mission, approving new projects and investments to position India as a global manufacturing hub. Renewable energy initiatives expanded rapidly through solar energy projects, green hydrogen development, energy transition programs, and climate resilience measures. A landmark step came with the launch of Mission Mausam to modernize weather forecasting, climate services, and atmospheric observation systems, enhancing forecasting accuracy and disaster preparedness for a weather-ready and climate-smart India. Bold reforms defined this term. The Waqf Amendment Bill was introduced to improve transparency, efficiency and management of Waqf properties, strengthening governance and accountability in their administration. In rural India, the VBG Ramji Act 2025 replaced MG Narega, providing a legal guarantee of 125 days of wage employment per rural household per year, a major boost to livelihoods and rural development. On the global stage, India and the United States launched bilateral trade agreement negotiations in February 2025. By February 2026, they announced a framework for an interim trade arrangement advancing towards a comprehensive pact. India and Oman operationalized their Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, CEPA, expected to significantly boost trade, investment and economic cooperation. National security saw decisive action. Following a major terrorist attack, India launched Operation Sindoor in 2025, targeting terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan and POK. This deliberated military response demonstrated India's zero-tolerance policy against cross-border terrorism and underscored strong national security resolve. From transparent governance and economic push to security and global partnerships, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's third term reflects bold decisions for a stronger, self-reliant India. This is the story of leadership with vision and action. Antara Sinha for DD India.
And for more on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's historic third consecutive term, we have Shubhendu Ghosh joining us from Delhi, Meghna Dev from Ahmedabad and Shama Mishra from Mumbai. Good morning to all of you. Shubhendu, my first question to you. The last 12 years under Prime Minister Narendra Modi have been marked by transformation that has earned India global recognition, with the country strengthening its economic position also and expanding its international partnerships as well. Now, as India continues this journey, how is the government ensuring that the benefits of growth, welfare schemes and development initiatives reach the most marginalized sections of society as well?
Hello, Lepakshi. Good morning. We talk about specifically foreign policy and welfare of the marginalized sections. These are two distinct spectrums of development, each of the areas where the government has made important inroads and achievements in the past 12 years. If we talk about the welfare of the poor, the marginalized sections first, the most driving factor, something that really transformed the landscape, the foundation on which development for the poor could happen, was the JAM Trinity. That's mobile and Aadhaar connection along with the Jan Dhan accounts. So around crores of accounts have been created in Jan Dhan accounts. Some 57 crore accounts have been created. That's about 35 to 40% of India's population who were outside of the banking sector. And the Jan Dhan account also made sure that the benefits of various schemes without any corruption or leakage could directly be transferred into beneficiaries' accounts. So the direct benefits that have been transferred till last year, the figure stands at upwards of 50 lakh crore. That's a huge sum going directly into the pockets of the marginalized sections across different sectors: women, farmers, youth and others. Especially the welfare for the poor has been women-centric, whether we talk about Ujjwala Yojana, or whether we talk about Stand Up India and other such programs, Awas Yojana, where the new houses were in the names of the women head of the family. So in that sense, women's empowerment has been very deeply enshrined into the welfare of the poor and marginalized. If we turn to the foreign policy, there's so much ground to cover. Look at foreign policy, India has emerged as a very important voice as well as leader of the global south, an example of which we saw in 2023 G20 presidency of India, when African Union was brought on the equal platform as the European Union, as it was included as part of the G20. Now, India has been the first responder in times of crisis, whether we talk about the vaccine Maitri during the time of pandemic or various natural calamities that have happened in the neighborhood, in particular in Nepal and Myanmar, in Bhutan, Maldives and elsewhere. India has always, Sri Lanka, for that matter, India has always sought to be the first responder. There are also important inroads where India has been on a leadership position as far as sustainable future is concerned. We talk about the concept of ISA, that's International Solar Alliance, Prime Minister's own life philosophy, introducing millets into the global food chain, as it were, popularizing it. So there are distinct ways in which the government in the past 12 years has made sure that the foreign policy is strengthened with India's philosophy of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, and the welfare of the poor also happens with the philosophy of Antodaya, that is, welfare of the person standing last in the queue. Lipakshi.
Absolutely, Shubhendu. Let me ask you, next question to you, Shama. The government has emphasized infrastructure expansion, manufacturing growth and employment generation also in its third term. What do you see as the biggest economic achievement of the past year, and what are the key priorities going forward to achieve the Viksit Bharat 2047 vision?
Well, Lipakshi, for starters, we need to understand that there has been so much development in the last decade, in the last 12 years. And talking about development, we have to highlight the infrastructural developments that have taken place. We are in Mumbai, so let's highlight all the Maharashtra specific infrastructure projects. The logistics, because of the infrastructure projects, the logistics and the cost of transportation and everything has come down, and which in turn has saved so much money, fuel and time for the people and for the traders as well. Infrastructure projects, when we are talking about Maharashtra specific, we have to understand, we have to highlight about the MTHL, which is the Mumbai Trans Harbour Link, also called as the Atal Setu, which was inaugurated by Prime Minister in Jan 2024. And since then, which after its inauguration, we have seen a major boost to connectivity in between Mumbai and Navi Mumbai, which is also Navi Mumbai, the part of Navi Mumbai which it connects, is also a major hub for the port-led activity and other trading activities as well. So that has gotten a huge boost. Apart from that, metro connectivity across the world, across the country, that has increased in Mumbai, particularly in Pune, Nagpur, all these areas that has seen a big web of the metro infrastructure spread. And apart from that, we are also talking about expressways, highways, roads which are connecting cities to cities, rural India. All this has been a game changer. Apart from that, we have also seen a major boost in manufacturing. Let's come down to Maharashtra again. We have seen a major manufacturing, investment opportunities here with various companies, with various international companies as well, in renewable energy, in semiconductors, in various other the technology, AI-led development. All these opportunities Maharashtra has witnessed. We have also seen, because of these various opportunities, we have seen the employment rate that has also gone up, and because of that, many people have come out of the poverty line. They have risen above the poverty line, and many of the people have a much higher disposable income in their hand, because of which, in turn, the state is gaining. The state is gaining, and the country is gaining, and that is how the development's engine is going forward. What is now the priority for government? Because we are talking about Maharashtra and the country, which is double engine government here. In Maharashtra, it is Devendra Fadnavis led BJP government, and in state, in the country, we all know. So the priority would be now the opportunities that have come in the investment form to Maharashtra and other states as well. That has to be, that has to be executed on the ground, and that has to create more opportunities, employment opportunities, area opportunities, because we also are looking for stopping migration. The percentage of migration has to come down. The cities are already burdened. So all these responsibilities or all these priorities would be now in front of the government. How to enable the rural areas or these tier 2, tier 3 city tier 2, tier 3 areas to have more number of opportunities for people, so that the migration percentage comes down. Also, those areas develop, and equal opportunities are created for everybody. Lepakshi.
All right. Meghna, you from Ahmedabad right now. India is positioning itself as a global hub for semiconductors, electronics manufacturing and innovation as well. How are the government's policies helping the startups and the emerging technology companies play a larger role in India's growth story?
Well, absolutely. When we're talking about the semiconductor sector, the sector obviously looks very promising, not
Right.
only for the fact that obviously it is now utilized for artificial intelligence, hospitals use it, satellites use it, and a lot of things, every digital thing needs semiconductors. Not only for that fact, but also for the fact it's become more important because India's growth story now is moving towards, enhancing or accelerating the growth of the semiconductor industry. We recently saw a roadmap which was released by NITI Aayog, which says by 2035, the India semiconductor industry will be somewhere around 120 or 150 billion US dollars. So now when we actually see that the union budget 2026-27 did make a decisive, it was a very decisive moment for India's technology ambitions in terms of the announcement of India's Semiconductor Mission 2.0. Now, this new phase did signal a clear policy push when we're talking about deepening the semiconductor capabilities at a time when chips are underpinning a very critical digital or industrial ecosystem. And when we actually talk about ISM 2.0, which is India's Semiconductor Mission 2.0, it has clear focus on producing semiconductor equipment, all materials in India, designing full stack Indian semiconductor IP, which is intellectual property, and as well as, maintaining global supply chains. When we see Taiwan, South Korea, Japan, and US are leaders in the semiconductor industry, and when any untoward external tensions or geopolitical issues take place, this domination of other countries becomes a disadvantage for India. And when India is becoming self-sufficient, on its way to become self-sufficient for semiconductor manufacturing, designing, and much more, it will be very helpful for India. And obviously, sovereignty of technology is something that will be enhanced. Besides that, when we see the provision has been made for 1,000 crore for 25-26 ISM 2.0, with a strong emphasis on industry-led research, training centers for more employment of youngsters, as well as a very important aspect is creating a skilled workforce which can work for these semiconductor companies. We also did see where in Gujarat, definitely recently Sanand saw a big event on the semiconductor industry, be it Micron, be it CG Semi, or Chinese, or other major, or Tata for that matter. Many semiconductor companies have set up plants here in Sanand, be it fab units or ATMP facilities or much more. So what we are seeing is that an ecosystem is being developed so that more companies have got more trust in the state, and especially when we are talking about Prime Minister Narendra Modi completing 12 years in office, we definitely do see that his beginning of public life had started from Gujarat.
Yes.
And that's the reason Gujarat is very equipped and advanced in many terms. Because of his long-term vision, Gujarat now has so many companies in terms of semiconductors, had a very beautiful riverfront. The Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit started from here, and so many things which had a long visionary, leadership as well as a long visionary output. That is what clearly reflects in the journey, his journey in Gujarat, and then taking it to the national level.
All right. Thank you so much, Shubhendu, Shyama and Meghna, for all those details. And still to come on DD India NewsHour. Stocks bounce back as investors look for bargains. We'll get you market updates after the break. 24 Indian crew rescued after missile attack off Oman coast. And Apple unveiled an artificial intelligence overall for the iPhone.
The task of diplomacy is to, in a sense, in a very literal sense, to serve the people. We want to see how do you contribute to trade, what are you doing in technology, how are you promoting tourism, so that you have to contribute to the economic growth and progress. The quality, the attributes which you look today for in an Indian diplomat are different than they were before. And that difference reflects the changes which have come about in the country, in the government, and a lot of it again goes back to that leadership, the motivation, the energy.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on. Iran and Israel have announced a pause in their military operations against each other following a rapid escalation of hostilities over Sunday and Monday. Now, both sides said that they were halting the latest round of fire, but also warned they would retaliate if struck again. This came hours after Iran's armed forces said it had stopped operations following the delivery of a painful response to Israel. Later on Monday, Iran's main military command, the Khatam al-Almaya Central Headquarters, issued a statement announcing a halt to strikes against Israel. Now, the latest round of strikes began on Sunday evening when Iran launched missiles at northern Israel in retaliation for Israel's expanded military operations in Lebanon. Israel swiftly retaliated, triggering a fresh round of tensions between the two regional adversaries. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Monday that the fire against Iran is currently on hold, but warned that Israel will respond forcefully if Iran resumes its attacks. Now, in a video statement, Netanyahu added that he will not tolerate nor accept the new equation that Iran and Hezbollah are trying to force on Israel.
After
Iran attacked Israel, I instructed Israel Defense Forces to strike military and economic targets throughout Iran. We did that as well. At the moment, the fire has ceased because after we struck the terrorist regime in Tehran, it stopped attacking us. If the terrorist regime makes the mistake of attacking us again, we will respond with force because Israel has full right to self-defense and we exercise it whenever necessary.
Well, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has conveyed a deep concern over the Israeli decision to close key crossings into Gaza and suspend the entry of humanitarian and commercial supplies. Now, citing the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, UN spokesperson Farhan Haq emphasized that people in Gaza rely on a steady flow of humanitarian and commercial goods from outside. Haq added that the UN and humanitarian partners work hard to maintain a sustained and predictable flow of supplies despite restrictions. Haq further conveyed Guterres a deep concern by the decision to close the Karam Shalom and Rafah crossings and suspend the entry of supplies into Gaza. And for more on this, we have Akshay Dongre joining us. Well, Akshay, Iran and Israel have both announced a pause in military operations while warning of retaliation if attacked again. We've had a number of pauses and confrontations earlier also during this war. How do we see this one?
Well, this is like several other ceasefires and pause in the battles that have happened. A glimmer of hope, but a cautious hope, in fact. Because we have to see that how this plays out. We have seen ceasefires, official ceasefires, especially the April 8 one, and despite that, the conflict have taken place. There have been incidents of attacking against each other. There have been incidents of the trade being halted on several areas, especially when it comes to Strait of Hormuz. We have seen incidents of attacks against each other. So really, Iran and Israel will have to prove it to the world that the peace can sustain with serious intentions and with no hidden agendas as far as this time the statements are concerned. But clearly, you have to give credit to Donald Trump for this halt in the fighting, because we have seen that how Israel especially. Is sort of very difficult to control at this point in time, given the fact that when we saw the way attacks took place, it was surprising that because even Donald Trump had said that he calls all the shots, and even Netanyahu doesn't get to call any decision, or rather make any decision here as far as the conflict is concerned, and because they are already US and Iran are already in negotiations, it will be counterproductive for Israel to attack, and that is why Israel cannot attack any states that USA is already in talks with, especially talking about Lebanon and Iran. But it did happen anyway, so there is this cautiousness here that it should not happen again. But it is a glimmer of hope. It certainly is going to give the world a sort of positive outlook from here. We can expect the markets across the world to recover from the losses that it suffered yesterday. The oil Brent to settle somewhere lower than it did yesterday, given the fact that it was almost close to a full-blown war once again. And finally, if both the leaders have agreed to stop and halt the fighting, it gives a lot of positive hope as far as this entire fiasco is concerned.
Absolutely. Yes, a glimmer of hope indeed. Thank you so much, Akshay, for all those things. Meanwhile, Tehran's international airport has reopened and flights carrying Hajj pilgrims from Saudi Arabia have landed. The deputy head of airport operation announced the resumption of flights to Imam Khomeini Airport and the flights of pilgrims. Tehran's international airport suspended all incoming flights on Sunday after Iranian missile strikes on Israel. Israel retaliated with strikes of its own. It was the latest closure for the airport, one of two serving the Iranian capital, which had only reopened in April after being shut for weeks during the war. Meanwhile, in evident reaction on the recent developments, stock markets tried to stabilize on Tuesday and oil futures paired earlier gains. The S&P 500 Technology Index finished up 1.5% on Monday after tumbling 5.8% on Friday, and Nasdaq Composite rose 0.86%. Asian market too tried to stabilize, with South Korea's share market, Japan's Nikkei and other witnessing gains. In energy markets, U.S. crude futures settled up 0.84% at $91.30 a barrel after earlier trading above $95 a barrel, while Brent ended the session at $94.25 per barrel, up 1.25% after earlier rising above $98 a barrel. While demonstrating its unwavering commitment to the safety and welfare of Indian seafarers worldwide, the Maritime Rescue Coordination Centre, Mumbai, coordinated closely with Omani authorities to ensure the successful rescue of 24 Indian crew members following a missile attack on a merchant tanker off the coast of Oman. The rescued crew members are reported to be safe and no casualties or injuries have been reported. The vessel is presently anchored off Masirah, Oman. The successful rescue operation highlights the effectiveness of international maritime cooperation and the strong coordination mechanisms established between maritime rescue authorities in the region. It also underscores the Indian Coast Guard's commitment to safeguarding Indian seafarers and providing timely assistance during maritime emergencies, irrespective of location. Well, in the United States, a federal judge has struck down $100,000 fee that U.S. President imposed on new H-1B visas for highly skilled foreign workers. The administration argued that the fee constituted a lawful monetary penalty that the president was authorized to impose under federal immigration law. But the judge concluded that the fee was not a penalty but a tax that the Republican president lacked any authorization from Congress to issue, and that the U.S. State Department and U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services could not implement. The H-1B program offers 65,000 visas annually, with another 20,000 visas for workers with advanced degrees approved for 3 to 6 years. And joining rival Anthropic, ChatGPT maker OpenAI has filed confidentially to go public on the U.S. stock market. Though it did not disclose the size or terms of the offering and said a timeline has not yet been determined, at that valuation, OpenAI would set the stage for a trio of trillion-dollar valuation companies debuting rapidly, which together are seen as the most consequential test of investor appetite for high-growth technology stocks in the last 10 years. Well, also, Apple unveiled an artificial intelligence overhaul for the iPhone on Monday, turning to Google for help 2 years after the company stumbled on a first attempt. Now, Apple CEO Tim Cook said users will be able to continue previous Siri conversations seamlessly, while the assistant will also be capable of retrieving information. Apple also announced that images and searches generated through Siri AI will be stored in a new standalone application available across iPhones, iPads and Mac computers. And still to come on DD India NewsHour. India's energy story is changing at an unprecedented speed under visionary leadership of Prime Minister Modi. Petroleum Minister and IT Minister speak exclusively to DD News on government's bold push for Viksit Bharat 2047 in every sector.
We have one other neighbor, Pakistan, and there the response is very, this doesn't apply because, when somebody practices cross-border terrorism as the central feature of the policy towards us, that, you have to also ensure there are consequences, that it is not something which will be cost-free. So when you are comparing eras, I think the one thing this country is very clear on, nobody wants to see again what happened at 2611. That 2611 was cost-free. That should never happen again.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, India's energy story is changing at an unprecedented speed. From record-breaking solar expansion and rooftop revolution under PM Surya Ghar Yojana to green hydrogen ambitions and a renewed push for nuclear power, India is positioning itself as a global clean energy leader. The country is now balancing growth, climate commitments and energy security together with a vision to become self-reliant and future-ready. Here's a special report by DD India correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya.
A decade back, India was battling power shortages, rising energy dependence and limited renewable capacity. Today, under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the country is witnessing one of the world's fastest energy transformations, from solar parks and rooftop revolution to green hydrogen. Record renewable expansion and a renewed nuclear push, India's energy sector has undergone a massive overhaul in the last decade. The focus has been clear: affordable power, energy security, clean growth, and self-reliance. The country, once dependent heavily on conventional power, is now emerging as a global clean energy powerhouse. India's installed solar capacity has now crossed 155 gigawatt, a massive leap from the early years of the last decade when solar power was still at a nascent stage. And the momentum is accelerating. The transformation is visible not just in mega solar parks, but also on rooftops across India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana has turned millions of households into participants in India's clean energy mission. The scheme is helping families generate electricity at home while reducing power bills and dependence on traditional sources. Today, rooftop solar installations have benefited more than 45 lakh households nationwide. Nearly 38 lakh households were connected under PM Surya Ghar scheme itself.
With this scheme, more than 30 lakh homes have already adopted solar. And currently, more than 2.5 to 3 lakh homes are adopting solar every single month. This makes India now also one of the world's largest residential solar adopting country. And I believe that this scheme will create history in the world with making India the first country where over 1 crore homes will actually have solar very, very soon as part of Pradhan Mantri Surya Ghar Yojana.
The Modi government's push towards clean energy has also delivered record-breaking results in overall non-fossil fuel capacity. The nation has achieved a major milestone by securing 50% of its cumulative electric power installed capacity from non-fossil fuel sources in June 2025, 5 years ahead of its 2030 target set under the Paris Agreement, becoming one of the first major economies to achieve this feat. In 2025-26 alone, India added over 55 gigawatt of non-fossil capacity, the highest annual increase ever recorded. But the Modi government's energy vision goes beyond electricity generation. India is now preparing for the next frontier, green hydrogen. Seen as the fuel of the future, green hydrogen is expected to play a key role in clean transportation, steel, fertilizers, and industrial manufacturing. Under the National Green Hydrogen Mission, India aims to produce 5 million metric tons annually by 2030. The larger objective is to reduce fossil fuel imports and build long-term energy self-reliance. With all these efforts, India has emerged as the world's third largest country in renewable energy installed capacity, overtaking Brazil. Another major shift in the last 12 years has been India's renewed focus on nuclear energy. As the country's energy demand rises, the government is looking at nuclear power as a stable source of clean, round-the-clock electricity. In 2026, India achieved a historic milestone when the prototype fast breeder reactor at Kalpakkam achieved criticality, marking a historic milestone for India's nuclear energy program. The reactor places India among a select group of nations possessing commercial fast breeder reactor technology. The Modi government has also laid out an ambitious roadmap for nuclear expansion. India's current nuclear power capacity stands at nearly 8,780 megawatts. The target is to increase this to 100 gigawatt by 2047. Projects at Kudankulam, Kaiga, and Gorakhpur are moving ahead, while recent reforms are opening the sector to greater private participation. From solar and wind to green hydrogen and nuclear energy, the last 12 years have seen a decisive shift in India's energy priorities. Tapas Bhattacharya's report for DD India.
Well, with a massive fuel buffer standing between India and global energy chaos, Union Minister for Petroleum and Natural Gas Hardeep Singh Puri declared the nation fully shielded from looming oil shocks. In an exclusive interview with Doordarshan, the minister dismissed immediate energy risk and predicted an imminent drop in fuel prices, pointing to India's extraordinary market resilience.
फरवरी 2022 से लेके फरवरी 2026 और अभी तक दाम पहले क्यों नहीं बढ़े? 4 साल पहले दाम बढ़े थे फरवरी 2022 में, और अभी माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने दाम बढ़ाने की बजाय 1 लाख करोड़ का जो सेंट्रल एक्साइज ड्यूटी है वो कम कर दी पेट्रोल और डीजल की, और उसके बाद थोड़ी सी पेट्रोल और डीजल में इंक्रीज ऑफ प्राइस हुआ है, 7 रुपए 60 पैसे एक्सेट्रा। तो अगर दुनिया भर में देखें, विश्व भर में, तो जापान के बाद वी आर द कंट्री विद द लोएस्ट इंक्रीज इन पेट्रोल एंड डीजल प्राइसेस। सो माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के लिए इट्स आर्टिकल ऑफ फेथ कि हमारे जो कंज्यूमर है, हमारे जो आम नागरिक है, उनको इंटरनेशनल प्राइस इंक्रीजेस से बचाया जाए।
While responding to opposition's allegations regarding fuel prices, Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri said that alliance is disintegrating under the weight of its own internal contradictions.
मुझे तो लग रहा है they are collapsing under the weight of their own contradictions. उनमें कई लोग तो आए नहीं। मैंने सुना कि केजरीवाल जी और स्टालिन आए नहीं, और टीवी का वैसे नहीं आना चाहा, तो अखिलेश जी और ममता जी बैठे हैं वहाँ पे। ममता जी का जो सिचुएशन आपने देखी है अभी वेस्ट बंगाल में, उनके तो अपने एमपीज उन्हीं के खिलाफ रिवोल्ट कर रहे हैं, और उत्तर प्रदेश में चुनाव अगले साल आने वाले हैं, और मुझे पूरी उम्मीद है कि उत्तर प्रदेश will again result in resounding BJP victory.
Well, Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw has expressed confidence in India's economic outlook, saying the country's growth model remains one of the strongest globally. Speaking exclusively to Doordarshan, the minister credited visionary decisions, wide-ranging reforms and policies for the country's consistent growth rate of 6 to 8% despite global uncertainties. Reiterating the government's vision of Viksit Bharat, Vaishnaw said India is well positioned to continue its growth momentum.
इन 12 वर्षों में माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने देश की अर्थव्यवस्था को बहुत ही एक मैच्योर तरीके से हैंडल किया है। 2014 में हमारा पूरा फाइनेंशियल सेक्टर, बैंकिंग सेक्टर ऐसी अजब परिस्थिति में था कि सारी दुनिया में चिंता थी कि भारत जैसी बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्था फ्रेजाइल 5 में गिनी जाने लगी थी। बैंक्स के एनपीएस बहुत हाई थे, बैंकों की बैलेंस शीट्स एकदम प्रैक्टिकली फिनिश होने के कगार पे थी। कौन सा बैंक कब इम्प्लोड हो जाएगा, ऐसी परिस्थितियां थी। आते ही माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने पहले बैंक्स को बहुत सिस्टमेटिक वे में उनके एनपीएस कम करने का प्रोसेस चालू किया। कम से कम करीब 2,50,000 करोड़ के आसपास रिकैपिटलाइज किया बैंक्स की बैलेंस शीट्स को। बैंक्स को प्रॉपर एक हेल्दी कंडीशन में लेके आए, जो आज आप उसका रिजल्ट देख रहे हैं। पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स का प्रॉफिट हाईएस्ट लेवल पे है, एनपीएस लोएस्ट लेवल पे है।
Well, Vaishnaw also said that today India is moving towards becoming the creator of technologies of the future. To realize this mission, the minister said that the government has created a favorable ecosystem for the development of semiconductor industry. Expressing confidence about future growth, Vaishnaw said the progress achieved under the semiconductor mission has generated strong interest among global players.
प्रधानमंत्री श्री मोदी जी ने जब सेमीकंडक्टर इंडस्ट्री के बारे में प्रेजेंटेशंस लेने चालू किए थे, उनका बहुत स्पष्ट था कि हमें इकोसिस्टम पूरा बनाना है। और पीएम प्रधानमंत्री जी का ये भी बहुत स्पष्ट था कि हमें 20 साल का सोचना है, हमें शॉर्ट ड्यूरेशन के लिए नहीं सोचना है। तीसरा उन्होंने कहा था कि बहुत ध्यान रखना कि इसमें टैलेंट डेवलपमेंट पे पूरा फोकस रहे। ये 3 चीज़ें उन्होंने मूल रूप से हमको गाइडेंस दी थी। इसीलिए जब सेमीकंडक्टर मिशन जब चालू किया, इकोसिस्टम पे फोकस दिया, केमिकल्स, गैसेस, इक्विपमेंट, ये सब के सब इसमें इंडस्ट्री के जितने इकोसिस्टम प्लेयर्स हैं वो ध्यान से आए। सेकंड, टैलेंट पे बहुत फोकस किया। टैलेंट में 321 यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं, 324 यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं, जहाँ पर मोस्ट मॉडर्न डिज़ाइन टूल्स में, सेमीकंडक्टर के डिज़ाइन टूल्स में स्टूडेंट्स को ट्रेनिंग दी जाती है।
Well, India has slammed Pakistan at the United Nations Security Council for weaponizing Afghanistan's landlocked status and carrying out deadly airstrikes that have killed hundreds of civilians. Speaking at the UNSC on situation in Afghanistan, Indian ambassador to UN P. Harish said Pakistan's denial of transit access for Afghan traders amounted to unprecedented trade and transit terrorism. He also flagged concerns raised by the UN assistance mission in Afghanistan over Pakistan's campaign of military airstrikes that has led to blockade of key trade routes and disrupted livelihoods. The ambassador further urged the international community to safeguard the economic rights of landlocked Afghanistan.
We have operationalized a dedicated air freight corridor between India and Afghanistan. We are also supporting Afghan traders by issuing hundreds of gratis long-term business visas who are suffering under unprecedented trade and transit terrorism inflicted upon them by Pakistan's denial of passage for trade. The cynical closure of access for this landlocked country is in total violation of UN declarations on landlocked developing countries and a clear weaponization of their trade and transit vulnerabilities. This blatant Pakistani violation of WTO norms and of the UN Charter and international law should be condemned by the global community.
Well, the ambassador slammed Islamabad's decision to refer to groups inside its own borders as Fitna al-Hindustan as nothing but officially sponsored misinformation dressed in religious terminology.
Coming up with official notifications directing Pakistan's government agencies to start referring to groups inside its own borders as Fitna al-Hindustan is nothing but officially sponsored misinformation and disinformation dressed in religious terminology. This is an outcome of an organized factory of hate coming from the deep state of Pakistan, which aims to keep their citizens in a state of permanent hostility with India in order to perpetuate their stay in power and control of national resources and detract them from core political and economic problems. The de facto coup by the military through the 27th Constitutional Amendment is only its most recent manifestation.
Well, in another debate, Ambassador P. Harish highlighted that combating illicit environmental trafficking requires robust legal frameworks, technology-enabled enforcement and strong community participation. Addressing the UN General Assembly, India emphasized that these crimes threaten biodiversity, sustainable development and global livelihoods.
Crimes affecting the environment, including illicit trafficking in wildlife, threaten ecosystems, livelihoods, and human well-being. They also weaken governance, generate illicit profits, and undermine the natural resource base on which local communities depend. India's experience demonstrates that effective responses require strong legal frameworks, robust institutions, technology-enabled enforcement, and community participation. India has established a comprehensive conservation and enforcement architecture anchored in the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, the Wildlife Crime Control Bureau, and specialized institutions such as the National Tiger Conservation Authority.
And still to come on DD India NewsHour. India's Met Department issues heavy rainfall warnings across the country as southwest monsoon continues its steady advance. PV Sindhu and Ayush Shetty to lead Indian challenge at the Australian Open Badminton Tournament 2026. HS Pranoy will also be in action. And we'll get to the glimpses of southern aurora lighting up sky in stunning SpaceX Dragon time lapse.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout ho gaya.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khuranan. And moving on, the India Meteorological Department has issued heavy rainfall warnings for several parts of the country as the southwest monsoon continues its steady advance, raising concerns over flooding, waterlogging and landslides in vulnerable areas.
With southwest monsoon rains gaining momentum, the India Meteorological Department issued alerts for many districts in the coastal states of Kerala and Karnataka. Heavy rains lashed Kerala, especially the northern districts, on the weekend, triggering a series of fatal accidents, land cave-ins, and structural collapses that claimed 5 lives, including 3 children. The southwest monsoon remained active in Kerala. IMD has issued an orange alert for Kozhikode, Kannur, and Kasaragod districts. Alerts are in place for many districts for Tuesday and Wednesday as well. The IMD department has also advised fishermen not to venture into the sea as squally weather is likely to prevail along and off the Kerala coast. Lakshadweep is also expected to receive widespread rainfall. Weathermen also issued red alerts for 2 coastal districts of Karnataka. A red alert will be in force in 5 districts on Tuesday and in 7 districts on Wednesday, indicating increased rainfall as the week progresses. Authorities have urged residents to remain cautious as intense downpours could disrupt transport and daily life. The monsoon is expected to advance further into additional parts of Maharashtra, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Odisha over the next few days. Meanwhile, marine warnings remain in force over parts of the Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal. Strong winds and rough sea conditions are expected, prompting authorities to advise fishermen against venturing into affected waters. In the north, a fresh western disturbance is likely to trigger isolated thunderstorms and gusty winds over Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, and Rajasthan later this week. The India Meteorological Department predicts that northeast India will receive normal rainfall during the June-September monsoon season, while the rest of India anticipates a weaker, below normal season. The northeast remains a highly favorable exception, with the monsoon gathering momentum across the country. Disaster management agencies and local administrations are on alert, closely monitoring weather conditions and preparing for any emergencies. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, you're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for some sports news. India's badminton stars are set for action at the Australian Open 2026, which begins on Tuesday in Sydney. Olympic medalist PV Sindhu will lead a 24-member Indian challenge at the BWF Super 500 tournament. PV Sindhu will be India's biggest hope in the women's single competition. She will be joined by Malvika Bansod, Anmol Karb, Tanvi Sharma, Isharani Barua, Akarshi Kashyap and Tanya Hemnath in the main draw. Notably, India will have no representation in women's doubles this year. With Lakshya Sen absent, the spotlight shifts to HS Pranoy, Ayush Shetty and Kiran George. All three suffered first-round exits at the Indonesia Open last week and will be aiming for a stronger performance in Sydney. Youngster Ayush Shetty is among the players to watch in the tournament. And France heads into the FIFA World Cup on a winning note after defeating Northern Ireland 3-1 in an international friendly in Lille on Monday. Michael Olise starred with a brilliant hat-trick in what was Didier Deschamps' final home match as France manager. Olise opened the scoring just before half-time after reacting quickest to a loose ball in the box. He doubled France's lead early in the second half with a stunning strike from outside the area. Northern Ireland fought back through Patrick Kelly in the 64th minute to make it 2-1. However, Olise completed his hat-trick with a superb curling effort from 20 yards out to steal the victory. France now turns their focus to the World Cup, where they began their campaign against Senegal on June 16th. And tennis legend Roger Federer is set to make a special return to the US Open this year. The Swiss great will feature in an exhibition event in New York, marking his first appearance at the tournament since 2019. The event, titled Roger Federer, an Icon Returns to New York, will be held on August 25th. Federer remains the only player to win 5 straight US Open titles and finish his career with 20 Grand Slam trophies and 103 ATP titles. Federer will be joined by former US Open champion Andy Roddick, Andre Agassi and John McEnroe. Well, NASA astronaut Jessica Meir, part of the SpaceX Crew 12 mission, has recently shared a time-lapse of the Southern Lights, or the Aurora Australis, as seen from the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft. Meir wrote on social media, as opposed to the previous Aurora she's seen, this one danced and snaked its way directly below the spacecraft, putting on quite a show. Take a look. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world with the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news that breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.